What's up guys, welcome to Veldora-kun. From our previous episode, we have witnessed their further discussion of who really is the mastermind. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, I will put the link in the description below. Just a quick warning, these videos contain spoilers from the light novel. I also want to share to you my YouTube membership, Veldora's Loyal Knights. For more details, just click the join button below. Also, don't forget to join our Discord community, Veldora-kun Subordinates. The link is in the description. See you there. So now in this video we will review what happened next, which is the history of Ruminism. But before we will proceed, please like, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Now without further ado, let's proceed with the video. Now, both of Rimuru and Rumina's party have caught up with the situation. And now they will focus on the immediate problems on their future relations, as well as clearing out any subsequent enmities between our parties. Shuna served them coffee and snacks, and the meal of the day was scones with potato chips. The Holy Knights were bewildered with the sight of food, and Veldora was quick to join at times like this, even though he didn't participate in the discussion at all. Veldora said, "Oh, is that a dessert? I want the ones on the large plate." Shuna responded as if she was used to it too, "Yes, I know that." When Hinata started taking a bite, the Holy Knights jumped in as well. Rimuru took a breath of relief as he finished the desserts. Switching gears, he slowly said, "Next, we will discuss our future relations." And Hinata cuts him off, "Before that, we have to be clear on something. Regarding the incident, have you already accepted our apologies?" And Rimuru answers, "Sure. I want us to become friends as nation going forward. That way, we can build a friendly relationship in the future." This was only Rimuru's sole decision. He came to it after discussing matters with Benimaru and his other officials. There was no need for further conflicts. Since the misunderstanding had been clarified, they should just make peace. But someone couldn't accept it, that being Ruminas. Ruminas said, "Absolutely not. Being indebted to someone does not sit well with me. This entire incident was clearly our fault, and I wish to compensate for it in some way. We will discuss peacemaking later." To put it in simpler terms, she just didn't wish to owe any form of favor to Veldora. So Hinata said, "Since Ruminas-sama has voiced her thoughts, I would like to inform you that I also still feel guilty giving you all the trouble. I want to show you as much as possible that I am being sincere." For Rimuru, he didn't wish to resolve things with money. If they were willing to recognize Tempest with an additional public announcement of a permanent ceasefire, and then he thinks that they're all good. Rimuru said, "Well, how about you formally recognize our nation, and we open up diplomatic relations," and Ruminas immediately agreed, "Fair enough. But I don't intend to be too close with you guys since I'll punish that lizard one of these days regardless." Most of Rumina's animosity seemed to be directed at Veldora, so worst case scenario we would just have to throw him under the bus as a sacrifice. If that were the price of eternal peace, Rimuru would make the choice without hesitation. Veldora asked, "Wait a moment, Rimuru. Were you thinking about something super mean just now?" And Rimuru denies, "You're overthinking it, Veldora-kun. If you behave yourself and act intelligently, there is nothing to be worried about." And Veldora exclaims, "No, I know what you're thinking whenever you add kun to whomever you address." And Rimuru denies again, "Don't be so uptight. I'll give you my scones, so just behave yourself around Ruminas." And Veldora was easily tamed, "What? Well, in that case, I will do my level best. By the way, once I get serious, getting Rumina's recognition would be a piece of cake." Gahahaha. Rimuru thinks that Veldora is very simple-minded. Even Ruminas looked dumbfounded by it, she didn't seem to be retracting her promise though. Ruminas declared a truce like it was nothing. "Don't get cocky with me, you. I will open international relations with you for a period of 100 years. We may even form diplomatic ties with you in the process. This will be the sign that I indeed have compensated you." Rimuru was surprised and asked himself if it was really okay. The same went for Benimaru. Even the chiefs such as Rigard were shocked at Rumina's decision. The same went for Hinata and the rest, none of them seemed to have anticipated this turn of events. Hinata asked, "It's okay if it's just a pact of non-interference, but are you really going to form diplomatic ties with them?" Rumina's looked like she didn't want to answer, then finally threw her response, "Annoying. I've already made the decision." Hinata had a strong urge to express her concerns, but she also didn't plan on defying Rumina's. So Louis just said, "If that's the case, we can only obey." Hinata nodded in agreement with Louis's statement and began to contemplate how to conclude the whole ordeal. There was, however, someone who still held a strong opposition. "Reinald doesn't seem to agree. Diplomatic relations? Are you sure?" Then Fritz responded, "What's the issue? If Rimuru Dono's party were truly evil, we wouldn't be alive at this point." And Arno agrees, "True. Rimuru Dono and his party are worthy of trust. We need to cast off our prejudices against monsters." And lastly, Ritis added her view, "I agree with them. For instance, Sae-sama has much the style and elegance of a gentleman." However, Reinald was still very cautious despite what his companions had said. As expected from the vice commander of the Holy Knight Order, he was not willing to compromise that easily. But the circumstances must have given him some ideas, so Reinald spoke with determination. He said, "Yes, but there remains one problem. What should we do about our doctrines? Due to its influence, the whole world will point fingers at the Western Saints' Church. We can't allow such a thing to happen no matter what. The doctrines, a faith that refused to accept the existence of monsters. Once they immediately acknowledge them now, then it would question the doctrines that has been followed for hundreds of years. Things seem to have become more complicated just when they thought it would all be over." Yet just as Rimuru's thoughts went in that direction, Rumina's, the individual responsible, dropped a bombshell. Rumina's said, "How boring. Those teachings are nothing I established. I don't see why failing to protect them qualifies as betraying me. Those are basically just some signs of direction for the lost lambs of the civilian masses, which the people in charge at the time drained their brains in coming up with." Rumina's statement had quite the impact. Not only the Holy Knights, but even Hinata was astonished as she muttered, "What? That's the first time I've heard of it." And Louis replied flatly, "Is that so? I suppose you might not have. The original texts defining the faith are open to anyone who might want to browse, but the first written drafts they're based on have been lost long ago. You should have an idea of how our religion came about after reading those manuscripts." To sum up Louis' explanation, it is said that the origin of the doctrines was for the protection of the people believing in Ruminas. It may be a different case for advanced species such as Ruminas and Lewis, however lower vampires require raw human blood to maintain their livelihood. And the blood of those who lived happily, contented lives was apparently more attractive to them. At the time when monsters in the world reigned supreme, people had to strive just to survive. And in terms of the vampires, they could only receive inferior human blood, which posed a life or death problem for the vampiric race. It was because of that Ruminas took the opportunity to draft a plan to protect humans. Apparently, the reason why she moved her kingdom seemed to have been due to Veldora. Ruminas added an explanation, "Because I needed to protect my innocent people, I allowed the humans to live with joy. By spicing up their lives with fearsome demon lords, followed by the relief of being protected from them, we ensure they can savor as much happiness as possible." The people of Ruberios were thus protected in the name of God. Even though it was said that they needed to suck out raw blood, they really only required a tiny amount, mostly unnoticeable by the donor. And after all, there was an overwhelming number of human citizens compared to the population of vampires there, so it was understandable. The price of living a safe and secured life was by donating one's blood. It's almost a win-win situation. Hinata asked, "So did they write the holy scriptures of Ruminism to help keep needless slaughter by the monster at the minimum?" And Louis agrees, "Indeed, that is the case." And Ruminas clarifies, "To me, the most important thing is the faith itself. Aren't you all capable of using holy magic due to your faith in me? It is a form of contract and an iron law. The task of protecting my people is a duty for my vassals, something I don't really value at all." In other words, her conclusion was that the doctrine of no tolerance for coexistence with monsters is nothing but a cheap product in an attempt to control the people's faith. If that was the case, there was no need to follow such a doctrine strictly. They couldn't afford to go to the extent of forcefully altering the doctrines, which would plunge the Western Saints' Church into chaos. To put it simply, they only needed to find a reason to persuade the people to accept monsters. And that's it for my video. Don't worry, there will be a next video. See you there.